Hello ladies, welcome to week 1 of the Empower programme. Today we're going to look at the core foundations of balancing your food plate. Today it's more about the what's to do, so the science behind everything, and next week we're looking at more practical tips about how we're going to apply some of the things we've learnt today into your diet and some easy ways to be able to fit it in with your busy lifestyles. Why should we do this? I suppose over the years, the what we call the typical standard Western diet has changed from how our grandparents used to eat. It's more to the benefit of the large food companies, and it also caters for the less time that we've got. It's far more based around convenience and speed of growing the plants and speed of being able to cook and store the foods. And with that becomes we're eating a lot more food that's much higher in sugar, salt and bad fats than we did previously years ago. Obesity and diabetes type 2 are really, really high in the UK. We aren't far behind America, and there's nearly 5 million people in the UK that have now been diagnosed with diabetes type 2, which is essentially a diet and lifestyle disease and can be reversed by making changes to diet and lifestyle. We've lost the knowledge with how to eat and nourish our body and give it the tools it needs, the raw ingredients it needs to be able to grow, give us energy and repair and heal itself. And this isn't taught at schools to the level that it should be. And Google is a minefield and marketing is a minefield to navigate, to try and understand what the right foods and the wrong foods are, or the more beneficial foods. The healthiest way to eat is talking about a plate is whole foods, not processed foods, as unprocessed as possible. Foods, that means foods in their raw natural state that haven't been through a machine, that haven't been processed in any way, because processed foods are fast foods and they're full of sugar, salt and additives to store them, to keep them on the shelves, to keep them looking nice, to keep them carted across the world, and to basically stimulate our taste buds so that we want to buy and eat more of them. There's a lot of adage in the saying, eat like your grandparents used to, straight from the ground, very unprocessed, delivered with the soil on, and just as true to their natural form as possible. Mostly plant-based. Scientific research shows that a very high plant-based diet is far more beneficial to ourselves, to our health. Occasional meat or fish, if you aren't a vegetarian or vegan, you do get a lot of nutrients from meat and fish that is much harder to try and achieve from a vegetarian or vegan diet. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you not to eat meat. It's more about moderation and moderating that meat, but a very highly based plant food diet is far more nutritious for us. And cooking from scratch where possible. Cooking from scratch allows you to see what's going into the food. It allows you to monitor the levels that are going into the food, and it tastes a lot nicer. The time we have today in a busy life, in a busy world, doesn't always allow us to do that. But hopefully I'll be able to give you some practical tips that you can apply to your weekly repertoire, that you can do some of these things a little bit more easily and cook less and make more food. And we'll look more at that next week. Some key things to remember about everything, really, that it's all about balance. It's about a balance of things on your plate. There's no good foods, there's no bad foods. It's better to have more of, some are more beneficial than the others. It's about the amount that you eat of each of those types of food. Food is there to enjoy. It's not about restriction. It's not about calorie counting, and we'll deal with that more in week 3. I don't believe in calorie counting because not all calories are equal. But it's about looking really at the big picture and about everything that we eat. If you have something that's less beneficial one day, you have more of something that's more beneficial the next day. It's about making small, achievable changes to your diet, not feeling overwhelmed, with having to eat everything, change your diet, overhaul it overnight. It's about small little changes because it all adds up to the bigger picture, and over time the changes will all help add up to better health. Right, so we'll go through the healthy food plate guide that's downloadable as a PDF on the Facebook group. Really, this is meant as a guide to be able to work out the rough proportions of each type of food. I'm not a big believer of measuring out food or getting stressed or working out each little bit, because it creates more stress in our lives than we would like. So it's more rough quantities. This is roughly what every plate should like for optimum nutrition. So we'll start with proteins. Proteins are the building blocks of muscle, blood, skin. Most of why we're standing up, it's essential that we have proteins. It creates enzymes in our body. It's part of our hormone makeup. It helps create, proteins are used to create antibodies, which we obviously need for our immunity. It's an alternative source of energy when we run out of glucose, and it also helps us to feel full, which is really important as women, or women if we want to lose weight. Protein's a really good tool to eat more of, to help us feel full for longer, to stop us craving crisps and sweets and sugary things. So it's essential we get it from the diet. Our body makes up a lot of proteins with different amino acids in our body, but there's certain amino acids that we need to eat via protein sources in the diet, and that is essential. Most of us as women don't eat enough protein, especially at breakfast time. Breakfast is one of the most important meals of the day that a lot of us skip because we think it's better for us, but we need to include a source of protein with every single meal, especially breakfast. Different types of protein that is on the food plate is lean meat or chicken, organic where possible. The better quality the meats, the better quality it is for us. There's a lot of meats have got a lot of chemicals in now and a lot of hormones, so buy the best you can afford and eat slightly less of it. Oily fish are what we call the smash fish, so your salmon, mackerel, anchovies, sardines and herrings. These are the oily smaller fish. They're much more beneficial to health. They've got a lot of good omega-3 fats in that we'll talk about in a little bit when we talk about fats, but these are really beneficial to health. If you don't eat meat and you're vegetarian or vegan, quinoa, which you'd think is a grain but is actually a complete source of protein, tofu, tempeh, eggs, lentils, beans, chickpeas, nuts and seeds. So any one of those needs to be on your plate at every meal time. So you need to look at your plate and say, where's my source of protein on this plate? So again, I've put there, it's a palm-sized portion of meat or a cup of lentils, beans or chickpeas, 2 eggs, or a sprinkle of nuts. 12 nuts is technically 1 portion, and a sprinkle of seeds. So just adding what you can, where you can. Carbohydrates. So carbohydrates is split into 2 sections. Vegetables and fruit come under carbohydrates, and your whole grain carbs. Now, if you look at the plate, you're probably looking at it saying, this isn't quite what I've grown up used to eating. Normally we'll have half a plate of pasta, half a plate of carbs, half a plate of rice or potatoes, and 1 portion of vegetables, maybe 2 if it's a roast dinner. In reality, we need to switch that combination. We need to have a good 45-50% of your plate as vegetables, and your grains and your rice and your potatoes as your whole grain carbs as a much smaller amounts, 2 to 3 tablespoons, and not necessarily at every meal. So, you know, carbohydrates are essential. They're the body's main source of energy. So we need it. We need it to feed our brain. We need it to keep us going every day. You know, we need it for our energy. So it is essential. Vegetables are super essential because they contain a lot of fibre. Fibre helps keep our happy gut bacteria happy, as I've said. Fibre is a source of food for the gut bacteria. If the gut bacteria doesn't have a source of food, it starts eating on our own cells inside our intestines and starts to munch away on that. So we need to keep it happy with fibre. If we keep our good gut bacteria happy, we keep our immune system happy because that lives in our gut. So the better your gut, the better your immune system, the better your brain, and the whole gut-brain axis is a real thing because it's connected via something called the vagus nerve, which is quite a new science, but it's been proven that the happier our tummies, the happier our brain. It also contains lots of vitamins and minerals, lots of things needed for energy. So especially the green veg. So regarding vegetables, ideally we need to be having 5 or 6 a day minimum. So next week we'll hopefully explore some of the more reasons and more tips on how you can include those into your diet. But over the course of a day and over a week and over, you know, the course of a season, it's about eating a rainbow of veg. So it's your greens, oranges, reds, whites, yellows, browns, you know, whatever you can. In season is best because it's more likely to be locally grown, locally sourced, more nutritious, more antioxidants and minerals in it that we need for all our daily functions. Fruit is good for us, but not in the vast quantities that some of us eat it in. It's very sugary, so that can be a detriment to our health. So the less sugary fruits, the better. Things like berries. Berries are brilliant for gut health. Any kind of berries, especially blueberries. Other less sugary types can be apples, pears, watermelon, peaches, and bananas are very sugary. They are fine to eat, but maybe just have them on occasion rather than one a day. And ideally 1 to 2 portions a day and no more. Having a big glass of fruit juice as your one a day might seem like a good idea because it's one of your one a day, but it's actually hugely sugary and it's far more detrimental to have it than to not to have it. You're much better off having a whole orange or an apple than you are to have a big glass of fruit juice. Then we shall come on to whole grains. So whole grain carbohydrates, this should only be 2 to 3 tablespoons per meal and not necessarily at every meal. So these kinds of things are your rice. So whole grain and basmati and brown rice is better than white rice. You know, organic oats. Oats are a really good source of all sorts of things, all sorts of fibre again, lots of other good nutrients as well. Other grains like millet, buckwheat, amaranth, a bit more unusual grains, but worth giving a try and testing out to see if you like them. They're all a lot of them are very ancient grains that are very good for us and very low in gluten, which can be really beneficial for a lot of conditions. You know, potato wise, the darker the potato, so the sweet potatoes are better than a white potato. A lot of the reason for this is the brown carbohydrates are a lot more slower to digest. So white carbohydrates digest much more quickly into your bloodstream. They peak your blood sugar because they digest very quickly, whereas the whole grains digest much more slowly, having a much slower release of blood sugar into your blood, which creates a much more stable blood sugar balance, and it's all about how we balance the blood sugar. When we have spikes of blood sugar, the hormone insulin is released. Insulin comes out to basically ferry the sugar out of our bloodstream to keep us safe and from not having a hypo. And it takes the blood into our muscles and cells, but excess blood sugar a lot of the time stores it in directly in our middles, around our tummies. So quite often we get weight that we can't lose, and we struggle to lose belly fat. It's actually a lot to do with our blood sugar regulation. So we really need to look at how we stabilise blood sugar across the day, and having some of these whole grain carbs and much less of them is much better for regulating blood sugar. We'll move on to fats. So fats have been vilified for years. You know, fats are bad, fats make us put on fat. If you've ever been to Weight Watchers or any kind of diet club, you know, pasta is a free food and you can eat it as much as you like, but fats are a bad food. What we're not taught is that not all fats are bad, and fats are essential, absolutely essential. They make up every single cell of our body. They are the basis of hormones. They are the basis of nerve cells. That we need them to carry fat soluble vitamins around our body, and they're twice the amount of energy. They provide twice the amount of energy that carbohydrates and glucose do. So it's extremely essential. But what's more important, it's a balance of fats. So it's a balance of good fats to bad fats. So your good fats are your omega-3s, and your bad fats are your omega-6. Your omega-3s, again, are your oils. So your olive oil, coconut oil, hemp seed oil, your yogurts, avocados, nuts and seeds again, eggs, butter. And these are really, really beneficial, very, very anti-inflammatory, and actually essential for weight loss, not for weight gain. So it's not about how much fat you eat, it's about the balance between your omega-3s, your good fats, and your omega-6, your bad fats. Your omega-6s are your crisps, your basically your fried food, your meat, so eating lots and lots of meat and red meat in large quantities. We need both types of fat, but it's about having the higher amount of omega-3s to omega-6s. So again, you need to have a source with every single meal. As women, we need our hormones more than anything as we get older. And quite often, lack of concentration, brain fog, dry skin, dry scalp, eczema, asthma can all be partially down to the fact that we don't have enough good fats in our diet. The best oils and fats to eat are your extra virgin olive oil. The Mediterranean diet is the most scientifically researched diet in the world, and it's very, very high in omega-3 fats. So your good quality extra virgin olive oil is the best type of fat to put on your salads. When you're cooking, a good coconut oil, a hard coconut oil, olive oil again, so long as it doesn't burn or smoke, because when it burns and smokes, it damages it. Hemp oil is also good, avocado oil is also good, and butter. So full fat butter or ghee is really, really beneficial. Spreads, margarine, anything that is deemed as more healthy by the supermarkets is more processed and it's damaged. Spreads are essentially made in a laboratory, and they've got chemicals and additives in them. However heart healthy they say they are, you know, the best form of a spread is butter. So if you're going to have it, have the good stuff. Have the stuff that's come straight from the cow. Again, with milks, and milks is extremely subjective, and a longer conversation, but a little bit of full fat milk can be very beneficial for your health. If you can't tolerate milk, there are a lot of plant milks and very good plant milks, but with plant milks you do have to check what's in it, because they can be full of seed oils. So things like your sunflower oil, any kind of vegetable oils really are not good for your health. They're very damaged, and that includes palm oil, very, very damaged fats, and they make up part of the omega-6 fats. So that's, make sure you're getting a good source of fats with every meal. That's really the balance of a plate, you know, we've got on there herbs and spices as well, and they all count as the vegetables. So any kinds of herbs and spices are beneficial for your health. You know, for women, rosemary is really good for estrogen detoxification. You've got ginger, turmeric, very anti-inflammatory. You know, at every opportunity, try and stick some herbs are medicine. So the more herbs and spices we can add to our food, the more beneficial to our health it is. So really that gives us a good guide of a plate. You know, don't be overwhelmed with working out what to do and how to do it. It is just a guide at this stage. But just it's about being mindful of the different proportions, you know, more veg, less meat, where's your protein at every meal, where's your fats, and the types and kinds of different foods that there is overall. Next week, like I say, we're going to talk about the practical applications of how we can get more vegetables in our diet, of some ways that we can batch cook and add things in that are going to be easy. I can give you some resources and some recipe ideas and some places to find the recipes that suit you and your family, and easy ways to get more veg in. But as an action point from today, I would like you, if possible, to try and include one source of protein at breakfast 3 to 4 times this week. So whatever that is, whether you're adding nuts and seeds to your oats in the morning, whether you're going to switch and have a couple of mornings of eggs for breakfast, try and make a point of having a protein source with breakfast 3 to 4 times a week. Put your pictures in the group chat. We can comment on them. It can help inspire all of us to try and give us some ideas of what to do. I'll do the same, and I'll put mine in and hopefully give you some ideas. But what that's going to do is just make you mindful of adding protein in. You will find the more protein you have at breakfast, the less likely you're going to want to snack until you get to lunchtime. You might find you can get to lunchtime without a snack, and you make sure you can get that protein in at every meal. It will decrease the amount that you snack, which is going to be beneficial on so many levels. Okay, so thank you for that, and I shall look forward to the Q&A next week, and also seeing your pictures in the chat of your protein for breakfast. Okay, bye.